Welcome to the Deep Dive. You're joining us today as we navigate through a really compelling set of headlines. They paint quite a picture of a world, in constant flux,
That's right.
from the exhilarating wins and losses on the cricket field to pretty significant shifts in global trade and the nuances of international diplomacy. We've gathered the key stories that really demand your attention.
Absolutely. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding the crucial developments shaping our world right now. We'll be extracting the most important insights, offering context, and, well, connecting the dots so you can stay well informed without feeling, overwhelmed.
Let's get straight to the action then. Our first headline takes us to the electrifying atmosphere of the IPL. Kolkata Knight Riders have just delivered a pretty resounding statement.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it, an emphatic 80-run victory over the Sunrisers Hyderabad at Eden Gardens. For you following the league, this was KKR at their best.
Absolutely. What this victory signifies for you is a really significant shift in the early standings. KKR, fueled by, key performances from Rahane and Iyer, they propelled them to that total of 200 for 6.
Right.
They secured their second win of the season. In contrast, Sunrisers Hyderabad, well, they're now languishing at the bottom of the table after suffering their third consecutive defeat. It really highlights for you how crucial momentum is in a tournament like the IPL.
And it wasn't just the batting price, was it? You also saw reports suggesting that SRH's fielding, well, it wasn't quite up to par.
No, not at all.
That definitely contributed to KKR's substantial score. It's a reminder for you that in cricket, like in so many things, the fundamentals truly matter.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, for you keeping an eye on the top of the table, Punjab Kings and Delhi Capitals remain the teams to beat, holding on to their unbeaten records.
Their consistent performance at this early stage is definitely noteworthy for you. It suggests a strong foundation built on both individual talent and, strategic team play. The fact that Royal Challengers Bangalore and Gujarat Titans round out the top four further illustrates the competitive landscape of the IPL this season.
Yeah.
Every match carries significant weight.
Okay, so moving from the cricket pitch to the realm of international diplomacy. Our next headline brings you news of Prime Minister Modi's recent visit to Thailand. This visit seems to have placed a strong emphasis on strengthening cultural and spiritual bonds.
Yes, what stands out for you here is the symbolic significance of Prime Minister Modi receiving the World Tipitaka Sajya Phonetic Edition
Right.
from Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra. This Buddhist scripture, meticulously transcribed in Pali and Thai scripts, it represents a really profound effort to preserve the accurate pronunciation of over 9 million syllables.
Wow, 9 million.
Yeah. Created back in 2016 to honor the long reign of King Bhumibol Adulyadej, it underscores for you the deep cultural reverence for these traditions in Thailand and the importance placed on linguistic accuracy in preserving spiritual texts.
And for you interested in shared cultural heritage, the vibrant presentation of Ramakien, Thailand's national epic, which, as you know, has its roots in India's Ramayana, that further emphasizes these deep connections.
Exactly.
It's a powerful illustration for you of how ancient narratives continue to shape cultural identities and, well, foster understanding across borders.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture for you, this focus on cultural diplomacy, it's an increasingly vital aspect of international relations. It allows nations to build bridges based on shared values, historical connections, potentially fostering stronger, more resilient relationships that go beyond just strategic or economic ties.
Okay, now let's turn our attention to the business world. You've likely seen reports on Tata Starbucks India. The CEO, Sushant Dash, remains optimistic about future growth despite acknowledging some present-day challenges.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting for you to note the inherent potential in a market where coffee consumption is still relatively low, especially compared to the deeply ingrained tea culture.
What's fascinating for you here is just the sheer scale of the potential market. With only, 15 to 20% coffee penetration in India,
Right.
the expanding economy and the undeniable rise of cafe culture present significant tailwinds for growth. However, the company's revised approach to reaching 1,000 stores by FY 2027-28, it's a more measured pace than they initially projected. That signals for you a realistic assessment of the complexities involved in such ambitious expansion.
And as you might expect in a rapidly developing economy, challenges like rising rents and the, often sluggish pace of infrastructure development, They're creating hurdles for Tata Starbucks, just like for many businesses.
Yeah, finding those prime locations isn't easy.
Exactly. For you following their financial performance, the reported widened loss of 81 crore in FY24, despite a 12% jump in revenue. It really highlights the intense competition in the market and the ongoing push to achieve sustainable profitability.
This situation raises an important question for you, doesn't it? About that delicate balance between pursuing aggressive growth and ensuring long-term financial stability, especially in a diverse and, let's face it, price-sensitive market like India.
Exactly.
While the brand recognition and the growing appetite for cafe experiences are there, navigating the operational and financial side requires a really careful, adaptive strategy.
Okay, shifting our focus now to the complexities of global trade. You've probably heard about the United States imposing reciprocal tariffs. These will indeed have an impact on India, among other nations. Specifically, India now faces a 27% levy on its exports to the U.S.
However, what's crucial for you to understand here is the comparative context. While 27% is significant, sure, India's competitors face even steeper tariffs. You've got China at 54%, Vietnam at 46%, Bangladesh at 37%.
Oh, okay.
So this could potentially create a more favorable environment for certain Indian exports heading to the U.S. market. Notably for you in the pharmaceutical industry, this sector is actually exempt from these tariffs and stands to gain.
Interesting. So for you in sectors like IT services, textiles, leather goods, toys, seafood, even rice, there could be new opportunities emerging.
Potentially, yes.
And the fact that India's goods trade surplus with the U.S. is considerably smaller compared to China's, you said $50 billion versus $320 billion, that might offer India greater leverage in ongoing trade negotiations as you consider the broader geopolitical landscape.
That's a key point for you. However, you should also be aware of the potential downside, the risk of surplus electronics from, say, East Asian countries being dumped into the Indian market.
Right, a knock-on effect.
Exactly. The China Plus One strategy, where global companies look to diversify supply chains beyond China, that might indeed favor India in this new tariff environment. Coupled with ongoing trade discussions with the EU and the UK, India has significant opportunities ahead, provided, of course, it can continue to address its challenges in infrastructure and market access.
Okay, turning our attention back to domestic matters.
Yeah.
A pretty significant legal decision has come down from the Supreme Court that you need to be aware of. They've upheld the cancellation of, wow, 25,752 teacher appointments in West Bengal from back in 2016.
Yeah, that's a huge number.
And it's understandably triggered strong reactions across the political spectrum.
What's important for you to note is the immediate political fallout. The BJP, CTM, other opposition parties, they've reacted sharply. The BJP directly criticizing Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and the TMC, holding them responsible for the alleged irregularities in these appointments. You've likely seen calls for the chief minister's resignation and demands that salaries paid to these appointees be recovered, even suggesting using the CM's relief fund. There have also been calls for arrests.
And for you following the concerns raised by the opposition, the CPM has questioned why deserving candidates weren't, identified and separated from those implicated in the alleged scam.
Right. That's a fair question.
This highlights for you a key challenge in situations like this: ensuring justice for everyone involved. There have also been expressions of concern about potential government support for individuals who, well, may not have been qualified for these teaching positions in the first place.
While expressing sympathy for those who've lost their jobs because of this cancellation, the opposition has consistently emphasized for you the crucial need for accountability and transparency in government appointments.
Yeah.
This issue has clearly amplified the existing political tensions in West Bengal and really underscores the broader public concern about governance and meritocracy in public service.
Now, for a stark reminder of the challenges that can pop up in global travel, you might have seen the headline about the over 260 passengers stranded at Diyarbakir Airport in Turkey for more than 24 hours.
Yeah, that's a long time.
On a Virgin Atlantic flight from London bound for Mumbai.
What's crucial for you to understand is the sequence of events that led to this significant disruption. Flight VS358 was initially diverted on April 2nd. That was due to a medical emergency.
Okay, understandable diversion.
Right. But then subsequent technical issues with the aircraft led to the eventual cancellation of the flight, leaving passengers just stuck.
And for you who have experienced travel disruptions, the reports from stranded passengers are likely to resonate. They described being kept on board the aircraft for 5 hours after landing.
5 hours. Wow.
Yeah. followed by a lack of clear communication and adequate amenities after they finally disembarked. This really highlights for you the importance of timely, transparent information during these unexpected events.
Absolutely. Virgin Atlantic has stated they're actively working to resolve the situation, but for you who are frequent travelers, this incident really underscores the inherent complexities of managing unforeseen disruptions in air travel and the paramount importance of prioritizing passenger welfare and satisfaction when things, well, don't go according to plan.
Yeah.
The experience of individuals like Sagar Kochar, as reported, truly brings the human element of such logistical challenges right to the forefront.
Turning now to the world of art and high-value transactions, you've likely seen the remarkable news of T. Mehta's 1956 masterpiece, Trust Bull. It sold for an astounding Euro 61.8 crore. That's, what, $7.27 million
Yeah, huge sum.
at a recent saffron art auction.
Yeah.
This makes it the second most expensive Indian painting ever sold on the global stage.
What's particularly noteworthy for you is the context around this sale. It coincides with Mehta's centenary year, which adds this layer of historical significance to the achievement.
Right.
The artwork itself, depicting a shackled bull, it's often interpreted as a powerful metaphor for societal struggles, the human condition.
The fact that this piece fetched nearly 9 times its higher estimated value really underscores for you the intense demand and appreciation for Mehta's work and for Indian modern art in general.
Definitely. And the auction as a whole generated a record $25 million in sales for Indian art. That signals a really robust and growing market. Indeed. For you interested in art history and its cultural significance, T. Mehta was a pivotal modernist artist. His work was deeply influenced by the tumultuous events of his time partition, the 1992 Bombay riots.
Right. Powerful influences.
Exactly. His art poignantly captures themes of violence, resilience, the enduring human spirit, which clearly continue to resonate with collectors and art enthusiasts globally.
Okay, back to the realm of international relations. You've probably noted Prime Minister Modi's emphasis on the strategic importance of India's northeast region during the BIMSTEC summit in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
This came in the context of remarks made by Bangladesh's interim chief advisor, Mohammed Yunus, which seemed to imply the region was landlocked.
What's crucial for you to understand here is the strategic vision India has for its northeast. Modi specifically highlighted the region as a vital hub for connectivity projects. Most notably, the India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway.
Right, the Trilateral Highway.
Which has the potential to extend connections all the way to the Pacific. This underscores for you the region's crucial role in boosting regional trade and fostering greater integration within the BIMSTEC framework.
So, for you following regional development, this isn't just about semantics, landlocked or not. It's about actively positioning the Northeast as a key gateway for economic and strategic engagement with Southeast Asia and beyond.
Exactly.
Subsequent bilateral meeting between Modi and Yunus, where the earlier comments were apparently clarified, suggests a diplomatic effort to maintain positive relations within the BIMSTEC community.
While the clarification is important for diplomatic harmony, you should also be aware that India's underlying concerns regarding, say, law and order issues and the safety of minorities in Bangladesh, they likely remain important aspects of the bilateral relationship. Modi's positive framing of BIMSTEC as a potentially more effective alternative to SAARC for regional development and economic cooperation, that signals a strategic prioritization for India. And his urging for expedited talks on a BIMSTEC free trade agreement further underscores this focus for you.
Now, a headline that should raise some concerns for you about the stability of the financial sector. India's subprime loan sector is reportedly showing alarming signs of distress after a period of massive expansion. A 2,100% growth rate. That just sounds inherently unsustainable.
Yeah, that number jumps out. What's particularly worrying for you is the data emerging from surveys. It indicates that a staggering 68% of borrowers in the sector are struggling to make repayments.
68%?
Well, the fact that many are resorting to taking out new loans simply to service their existing debt, that points to a potentially vicious cycle and a really fragile financial situation for these individuals. The overdue loan rate specifically for loans between 91 and 180 days past due has surged dramatically, from 0.8% in June 2023 to 3.3% now. That highlights for you the rapid deterioration of asset quality.
And with the industry valued at a substantial $45 billion, this isn't some small corner of the market.
Not at all.
You should also be concerned about the reports of families adopting desperate measures, like withdrawing children from school just to cope with this debt burden.
It's heartbreaking.
The analysts call for stronger central bank supervision seems like a critical recommendation for you to consider. A fragile lending ecosystem with multiple lenders targeting the same vulnerable borrowers without adequate oversight. Well, that sounds like a recipe for broader financial instability.
Indeed. This situation serves as a stark warning for you about the potential pitfalls of rapid, unchecked growth in the financial sector, particularly when it involves lending to more vulnerable segments of the population. Without robust regulatory oversight and a focus on responsible lending practices, these challenges are likely to worsen, potentially leading to significant economic and social consequences.
This next headline is quite unusual, and it really serves as a cautionary tale for you about the importance of respecting the boundaries of isolated communities. An aspiring YouTuber was arrested for attempting to contact the Sentinelese tribe.
Yeah, in the Andaman Islands.
Right.
What's important for you to understand is the extreme isolation of the Sentinelese people. They've lived undisturbed for an estimated 55,000 years.
Incredible.
This 24-year-old individual reportedly sailed 23 miles to North Sentinel Island on a modified raft, spent about an hour signaling and briefly landing, hoping to record footage, though, thankfully, no Sentinelese individuals actually emerged.
For you considering the potential dangers,
Yeah.
this action not only endangered the YouTuber himself, but also posed a significant threat to the health and well-being of the Sentinelese tribe. They lack immunity to many common diseases.
Absolutely critical point. Indian authorities have strict laws in place to protect the tribe. Any unauthorized contact, even photography, is illegal. The criticism from organizations like Survival International rightly highlights the ethical and safety concerns surrounding actions like this.
This incident underscores for you the critical need to respect the autonomy and isolation of such vulnerable communities.
And it also serves as a stark reminder of the various threats that uncontacted tribes face globally: deforestation, land development, and how even perhaps well-intentioned curiosity can have devastating consequences.
Yeah.
The potential 3 to 5 year prison sentence the individual could face highlights just how seriously Indian authorities view such violations.
Okay, now let's turn to a discussion within the Indian startup ecosystem that you might find interesting. Remarks made by Union Minister Piyush Goyal at the Startup Mahakumbh has sparked a bit of a debate.
What Minister Goyal emphasized for you was his concern about the Indian startup landscape being, in his view, overly focused on sectors like food delivery and logistics. In contrast to China's greater investment in deep tech areas like AI, robotics, machine learning, he argued that Indian startups should aspire to global competitiveness beyond just the consumer internet space.
This prompted a direct response from Zepto CEO Adit Palicha. He defended consumer internet startups, highlighting for you their significant contributions: job creation, tax revenue, overall investment in the economy.
Right, the counter-argument.
Palicha also made the point that these platforms often drive technological innovation, citing examples of major global consumer tech companies that have evolved and expanded into more advanced technologies over time.
You also likely saw the reaction from former Infosys CFO Mohandas Pai. He kind of echoed Goyal's sentiment about the importance of deep tech, but also criticized the minister's remarks, urging the government to provide more active support and funding for startups in these more advanced sectors.
So a call for more action, not just criticism.
Exactly. This exchange highlights for you the ongoing debate about the optimal direction for India's burgeoning startup ecosystem and, the relative importance of different types of innovation in driving economic growth and global competitiveness.
Moving to the digital realm and national security. You should be aware of the efforts by the Jammu and Kashmir police. They've identified approximately 200 social media handles that they say are involved in spreading radicalization and glorifying terrorism.
What's significant for you here is the scale of this operation. Conducted by the cyber cell over 3 months, it targeted accounts both within India and abroad. About half of these handles were apparently managed externally.
Wow, outside the country.
Yeah. Legal actions, including filing FIRs, have been initiated. Encouragingly, some individuals who were influenced by extremist content have reportedly been de-radicalized and returned to their families. That highlights the potential for intervention and rehabilitation.
That's good to hear. This initiative underscores for you the persistent challenge of combating anti-national propaganda and misinformation in the online space. The fact that several of these accounts have already been blocked demonstrates the proactive steps being taken by law enforcement. Additionally, the J&K police have reiterated the social media policy for government employees, which prohibits public criticism. indicating a multi-pronged approach to address this issue.
For you concerned about national security and social harmony, this operation reflects the critical importance of actively addressing online radicalization and the spread of extremist ideologies. It really requires a combination of technological expertise, legal frameworks, and community engagement to effectively counter these threats.
Okay, shifting our focus to international security and regional stability. You might have seen reports regarding former Pakistani diplomat Abdul Basit. He's denied claims suggesting a potential plot by the U.S., Israel, and India to target Pakistan's nuclear program.
What's crucial for you to understand is the highly sensitive nature of discussions surrounding nuclear programs, particularly in regions with, historical geopolitical tensions. These claims, according to Bassett, have been circulating since Donald Trump's presidency. Fueled by concerns about Pakistan being the sole Islamic nuclear power. However, Bassett has dismissed these as baseless rumors, asserting for you the security and invulnerability of Pakistan's nuclear arsenal.
Bassett emphasized for you that no external power possesses the ability to undermine Pakistan's nuclear capabilities, reaffirming their sophistication and role as a key element of their defense strategy.
Right.
In a related development, Pakistan's Minister of State for Law and Justice acknowledged the possibility of the U.S. imposing travel restrictions on Pakistani citizens due to terrorism concerns, though he clarified there's no outright ban currently in place.
These developments together highlight for you the complex interplay of nuclear deterrence, counterterrorism efforts, and international relations in the region.
Indeed. For you following geopolitical dynamics, these statements underscore the continued sensitivity surrounding nuclear security and the, well, often strained relationships between key global and regional players. Maintaining stability in such a context requires careful diplomacy and clear communication.
Absolutely.
Finally, our last headline brings you news of a significant legislative development in India. Parliament has passed the Protection of Interests in Aircraft Objects Bill. This legislation aims to implement the Cape Town Convention and Protocol, which is a globally recognized agreement focused on asset-based financing.
Okay, so what this means for you in the aviation industry, or even just as a frequent flyer, is potentially greater confidence for international aircraft leasing companies when dealing with Indian carriers.
Okay. How so?
Well, the bill will streamline the process for lessors to repossess aircraft and engines in the event of payment defaults. This is expected to boost lessors' confidence in the Indian market, which was, frankly, somewhat shaken by the recent Go First bankruptcy.
Right, I remember that. So, for you following the aviation sector's growth, which has seen Indian carriers, led by Indigo, place orders for over 1,300 aircraft since 2022, a majority of which are leased.
Huge numbers.
This bill is particularly timely. It's seen as a crucial step towards reducing leasing costs, which could eventually translate to lower airfares for you, the passenger.
That's the hope. The aviation minister has also highlighted these benefits for both airlines and travelers. By aligning India's aviation laws with international standards, this legislation has the potential to make aircraft leasing more accessible, particularly for new airlines looking to enter the market. It's a significant step for you in fostering growth and stability within India's rapidly expanding aviation sector, making it a more attractive and reliable partner in the global aviation finance landscape.
Well, you've taken a deep dive with us through a really wide range of significant headlines today. From the highs of sporting victories and the intricate dance of cultural diplomacy, to the complexities of global trade, financial stability, and national security. It's clear you're navigating a world filled with dynamic and interconnected events.
Indeed. As you reflect on these stories, consider the contrasting forces at play. The rapid advancements in some sectors alongside the enduring challenges in others. The potential for economic growth exists alongside vulnerabilities that demand really careful attention.
And as you consider the shifts in global trade, remember that these aren't just abstract concepts. They have real-world implications for businesses, for consumers, for you. The evolving landscape requires adaptability and a keen understanding of these interconnected systems.
Exactly. Finally, as you've heard about the importance of respecting boundaries, whether they're geographical or cultural, remember that our interconnected world also carries a responsibility. A responsibility to engage thoughtfully and ethically with diverse communities and traditions.
That's a great point.
What are the unseen consequences of our interconnectedness, and how can we navigate them responsibly? That's definitely a question worth pondering.